Martel, great to have you on here, man. How are you
Great,
doing?
man. It's great to be alive right now. Everything's good in Romania, having the time of my life, so it's good.
How's it like in Romania right now?
It's good, man. It's very peaceful. I'm in Oradea, so not too no, not too much craziness going on. I think everybody here is very nice, very friendly.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things to do, a lot of places to go.
Hmm.
Architecture is great. It's been amazing.
How long do you live there?
So far it's been 1 month.
1 month. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We'll get into that later on. But would you want to introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Martel Metellus. I am a content creator on YouTube. I'm also a YouTube growth coach as well. So I help people with building their personal brands, monetizing their personal brands on YouTube. I train a lot, fitness, now fighting. So kind of everywhere, but
Hmm.
overall self improvement creator.
Hmm. Well, let's start from the beginning. Like, how did you grow up? What was your
Yeah.
childhood like?
So growing up was interesting, man. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, Brooklyn, New York. I was living in the projects. So the projects is government funded housing. So I was living in a very impoverished area. I was around drug addicts all the time that were shooting up like crack, and they were taking a shit on the streets. Like just I was around a lot, right? And so growing up, I really learned how to enjoy that area and make it my own. Like I never thought
Hmm.
it was a bad thing. And then I ended up moving to Arizona when I was 10. My uncle, who worked for a big company at the time, relocated to Arizona, made my mom and my dad move with me so I wouldn't have any negative influences. So I lived in the suburbs of Arizona, way nicer area. Um, yeah, that's kind of the start of how I grew up. I also lived in Haiti for like 3 years before, so I'm Haitian American. So
Hmm.
yeah.
You think like how you grew up like affected like where you are now?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think
Oh.
when you grow up in a very humbling environment, you don't take anything for granted, and you have a chip on your shoulder, so you want to work hard. Like you don't feel like everything is just taken for granted. Like you appreciate everything that's around you. You appreciate the people that's around you, because you never had that when you were younger, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it definitely plays a part in how I think about life, how I go about business with speed and just like consistency and everything. All of that comes back to not having anything when I grew up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. So, like, if you had a son, how would you raise him?
So that's a good question. If I had a son, I believe when I have a son, I would I would make sure that he understood what hard work was. I wouldn't give him anything. He'd have to earn it, because I think if you're sons and daughters of you act very differently with them. Like with a son, they need to understand how life is hard, because if they don't understand at a young age, when they get older, they'll start to think that everything can be given to them, and then they'll get hit by society when they realize, well, nobody cares about you, nobody wants to just help you, because you have to have value. So I would teach my son how to have value in the world early, how to do manly things like lawn mowing. I never did this stuff when I was younger because I lived in an apartment. So now that I live in the
You
house,
cut off here a second. Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
But yeah, now that I live in a house, I'm learning all of these things, and I'm like, well, I want my son to know this stuff early because I
Mm.
didn't have a chance to do that. And I think most
Mm.
men nowadays don't even know how to use their hands to do anything. You know?
Mm. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Yeah, I can absolutely understand that. Like, did you have a like let's say pivotal point or a moment in your life where you decided, okay, I don't just want to go to school, get a 9 to 5, and that be the highlight of my life for the rest
Hmm.
of my life? Did you have like a
Yeah,
moment where you decided that?
yeah. It was when I was in college, and then I moved to San Francisco,
Oh.
California. So at the time, it was the tech capital of the world. Um, and I saw so many of these entrepreneurs making so much money, having their own tech companies at the time because it's very
Mm-hmm.
popular. Now, a little bit, not as much, but I knew that I wanted to be like one of those guys because everybody else that I saw that was working were miserable. Everybody else didn't like what they were doing. They went to their normal job. And I started to think about the life that I wanted. And I was like, well, It sounds very miserable to wake up early in the morning, go to a job you hate, work the job you hate, come back home, and then only enjoy your day for the next, what, 12 hours?
Mm.
So that this doesn't sound great to me. That just sounded like slavery.
Yeah,
So
like giving up half of your life, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And I also realized that with a job, you're only going to have a certain ceiling of the amount of money that you'll make, right? You'll
mm,
never get paid for the true value that you have. Even when I got my first job, I didn't want to do anything else but sales because I knew I was taught that sales is literally how you make the most money in life. That's how, even in corporate, that's who makes the most money. Sales guys make more money than the CEO.
mm,
So, and you're also technically an entrepreneur. You just don't have your own product. Like
mm,
the sales guys
yeah.
would literally just have whatever time they wanted. They could go out, they could do whatever they wanted. As long as they hit their quota, they're good.
Mm.
So yeah.
So, how did you become an entrepreneur? What is your like journey?
Yeah. So I was in college. I had a massive transformation. I stopped playing basketball. I wanted to focus on school, and I had a big physical transformation. Like I built, and people won't believe this. I literally built 20 pounds of muscle in the 3 months of that summer, like the most I've ever
What?
had. Now, also, I had a growth spurt because I was still young. I was still growing, so that helped a lot too. And my body reacts very quickly.
Mm,
So when I got back in the fall for school, everyone was like, how did you get this big? Like, how did you look like this? How did you build the muscle that you had? And I was training every day. I loved the gym. And there was a gym that was next to my school. And I went there and I asked if I could be a trainer there. And they told me that I had to go get a certification. So I literally went, I learned a lot. I failed the first test to get a certification. Then I passed the second one. I got the certification. And then I started training people at my school because they were like, hey, I'll pay you $30 a session. And in school at the time, I was getting paid $7 an hour for my school job. So I was like, wow, this is almost 4 times as much as my regular job at school. So I started training all these kids. Then I went to the gym. They hired me, and I started getting clients. That's what started like the entrepreneurial stuff because then I started training private clients, and then I built a private training business all while I was in college. So that's where it started, and I realized there's a lot of money to be made. You know?
mm. So, what are you doing now? Obviously, when you do YouTube and you do a lot of stuff. But for
Yeah,
example, coaching, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, what's the hardest thing about coaching guys?
yeah. I think the hardest thing is breaking people's limiting beliefs.
Oh,
That's actually 90. I want to say 95% of coaching. It's 5% tactics and 95% someone's mindset because there's some people who come in and they genuinely don't believe that they can make the type of money that they can actually make.
hmm.
So you have to shift how they think because most people are stuck where they're at because of their mind. So you
Okay.
have to continuously coach them, give them like beliefs that are positive, beliefs that are abundant, right? Shift their mentality from scarcity to abundance. You have to show them that it's possible to make money with what they like to do because their whole life they've been trained
Hmm.
that they have to go to a job 9 to 5 to get the money
Yeah.
that they want. So everything is here, and most people they'll even want to quit because they just don't believe in themselves. They don't think they can really do it.
Hmm.
And once you break that, that's where you start seeing people make a lot of progress. Even with what I'm doing with YouTube, like the start, I help people build their channels and then they monetize. But even building the channel, they're like, oh, I don't think I'm good on camera. I don't think people would want to listen to my story. I don't think people actually would like watching me. I'm not going to do well on YouTube. And you have
Hmm.
to shift how they think to then help them get the results that they want. Then you have the tactics and everything like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I think that's probably part of the reason why a lot of guys quit, like after the first 10 videos. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, because of the limiting beliefs, huh? That's interesting. So what's like the most common problem outside like of the limiting beliefs? Like they come with you with fitness or money or what's like the
Mm-hmm.
most common?
Like outside of their mindset or just outside of limiting beliefs?
What's like their dream outcome that usually guys are coming to you
Everybody wants to make 10K a month.
with?
That's like the magic number in the world right now. Everybody wants to
Mm.
make 10K a month. And so that number, they fixate on it so much. I think that's
Mm.
also the biggest problem. They're so focused on the end goal of making 10K a month that they forget that there's a process. And to be honest, the process and learning from the process is what allows you to make 10K a month. You don't
Like,
just wake up and you make 10K a month. You go through the journey of growing to become the person that makes 10K a month.
mm,
And then once you make 10K a month, you're like, wow, I can do way more than this. Then you have to become the person who makes 50K a month. And you have to become the person who makes, and each step is harder and harder and harder because you have to shift how you think with every single milestone, you know?
mm. What, like, do you usually get like young guys that come to you, or like guys in their 30s, 40s?
I get both. I don't get
Oh,
40s. I get guys from 23 to 35 usually.
mm, okay. Well, you also have training grounds. Would you explain what that is?
Yeah. So actually, Training Grounds is transitioning right now, but it's going to basically be called Conquer YouTube. And
Mm,
so essentially, what that is it's self improvement because I do believe that's the foundation of whatever you want to do. So mindset, self image reconstruction, so building your body, everything like that will be in there, as well as just YouTube, like the fundamentals of YouTube, how to actually create really good videos that people like, how to leverage the analytics on YouTube, how to leverage AI to like have deeper insights on your competitors on YouTube. Like I have all of that stuff in there, and it's gonna be like a group coaching community that basically is a step below my one-on-one. So it has
mm.
more access to it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, that sounds really interesting.
And I think a lot of men don't necessarily like these types of things because there hasn't been like personal branding has never been like a masculine thing for people. So by
Mm.
me saying conquer YouTube, it becomes a masculine task that most men want to do.
I think that's smart as fuck, actually. Like that, yeah. It does sound more masculine when you say it like that.
Yeah.
Like, did you try any like other business ideas
Oh
before?
yeah. Oh yeah. I've tried a lot. Man. I've tried two different tech companies. My last one recently failed
Hmm.
because we just couldn't raise enough money to do it. We raised some money, but not enough. We ran out of money just building things. And I've tried another tech company before that I raised close to $300,000 to build out, and I didn't know how to manage a team of people who were way older than me, and so we made a lot of mistakes. I went through a big tech accelerator, venture capital. We were getting a lot of that, and so that was my biggest business that I've made so far. Honestly, this coaching business is I want to say revenue wise is way more. I'm making way more than my other one. So I would say that one was my second biggest business. This is going to be my first this year. Um, but that's really what I've done. So personal training, I've done fitness coaching online. I did really well with that. I grew to 12K a month, which to me now doesn't seem that much, but in the fitness world, that's a lot because it's
Mm.
very hard for a lot of people to sell fitness and to because it's very crowded. There's a lot of people doing it. So yeah.
What part would you like recommend for someone that's like trying to find themselves in business? Would it be YouTube? Because I'm thinking there are a lot of guys that I honestly see it as an excuse, like using the word introvert. I think that I think that I used that excuse too when I first started recording videos last year. But it's like a hurdle in the way of like being like you're gonna have to speak to people at some point in business anyways. You're
Mhm.
gonna have to have like speak to people that are way further ahead in life than you, and you're gonna be nervous speaking to them, etc. But you have to get over that. When I did my first podcast with Andrew Arteca, I was nervous as hell, and you could hear in my voice like I was like my voice was quivering, but hell, I got through it, and it was shit. But I'm so glad for that. So I
Yeah.
think that introvert is an excuse, but is there any other path in 2024 that's worth pursuing?
Yes. One to answer the introvert thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm an introvert. I'm fully an introvert. What people don't realize is introverts need time by themselves to recharge,
Mm.
right? Then they can go out. Introverts can still be very social. I'm a very social person, but I need time by myself. If I don't have time by myself, I feel drained. An extrovert to recharge, they need to be around other people. And they actually
Oh.
feel drained when they're by themselves. They can't be by themselves. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the answer to that. But you asked what is the path for somebody that's just getting started in terms of life, like making money, like
Someone. that, let's say, they wanna quit their 9 to 5.
Yes.
Yeah. So what should they start pursuing?
There's two things you can do. The first path, which I think everybody should do, is get into high ticket sales online. I think
Mm.
a lot of people should do that. If not high ticket sales online, find any job that's around you that has a sales position, because that's going to be the way that you make the most money. That's going to be the way that you learn about people. You learn how to speak to people. You learn how people think. You learn the most when it comes to sales. So I think and most people hide from sales. They run away from sales because it's very hard. Like you have to understand how to persuade someone to
Mm.
give you their hard money, their hard-earned money. So it's one of the best things you can do. And high ticket sales online is great because if you find a creator that's making a lot of money and they have a lot of attention and they have people who want to buy their products, if you understand sales even just enough, you can now make a lot of money in the comfort of your own home,
Mm.
5-6 hours a day doing that, you know?
Mm.
And so that's a good way because one, it's commission only. Two, you probably make 10% of every sale that you make. And typically info products as in like coaching, ebooks, all of like big programs that these influencers are making, they're charging between two to even $20,000 per product,
Holy
right?
shit.
So imagine if you're a salesperson and you're taking 5 calls a day and you close one of them a day. Like at the
Mm.
lowest, you're making $200 a day,
That's a
right?
lot still for some people. Yeah.
For a lot of people, their
Mm.
jobs don't even make that much, you know?
Exactly.
So
Mm.
that's where I would start. And then from there, the other side is if you have a skill, if you've learned something, if you have a big milestone in your life, you should be teaching other people how to do it. It doesn't matter what
Mm.
it is. It could be knitting. It could be like you're really good at knitting. There is a market on the internet because the internet's massive where there's so many people who want to learn that skill for some reason. And you can sell coaching, you can sell an info product like an ebook or a course around how to do that, and you make content to attract people, and those people who are interested then buy the product.
Mm.
So those are the two things I would recommend people do.
Mm. What about, like, there are a lot of guys that, like, see, how should I say it? They see, like, all these different business models, like SMMA, copywriting, all of these things, but
Mhm.
it's not like they're doing it for the end result, and they're not
Sure.
doing it because they want to do it. Like,
Mhm.
if they would have to do that thing for a year for free, not make any money, they would give up within 2 months because they hate it.
Mhm.
So what do you think about those?
So this is my philosophy because I've tried it all. I've actually done would you call it SMMA? I had a lead gen agency with two of my other friends. We scaled it up to 30K a month in 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Hmm.
Um, and I liked that business because I handled the sales side. I really liked sales. So I was one of the founders that handled sales. My other guy did operations. I hate operations. I hate managing VAs and everything. He did that. And then my other guy, my other friend, focused on marketing. So he built the landing page. He did all of the case studies. He did all of like the everything, right, when it comes to marketing. So SMMA, every business model, I'll tell you right now, works.
Hmm.
Drop shipping works, believe it or not.
Hmm.
SMMA works. Ecom outside of drop shipping, if you have like a private label product, it works. Any agency model works. Any business model you can think of. Info products, they work. Being a growth operator, that's what people like to think about right now. It works. Every single business model works. But it depends on if you, the person, work, because the business
Hmm.
is only going to work as much as you work, right? So most people haven't even developed themselves to be the person that can run those businesses successfully. So that's why they always fail. And to your point, most people, when they go into these different businesses, they think about the end goal, right? And the reality is you have to enjoy the process. That's why I tell anybody, do a business that you genuinely like to do or that you're genuinely interested in. Don't listen to a big, even myself, like don't go watch one of my videos and think like, oh, he's talking about personal branding and info products and coaching. I want to do that. Like if you genuinely like it, if you like posting content on YouTube and you like selling coaching and you like helping people, you like solving people's problems, do that. If you like being behind a computer and you like analyzing charts for trading because you don't want to talk to anybody, do that. You
Mm.
know what I mean? But most people, they're just doing things that make it seem like it's fast money. Like, we're going to get you to 10K a month in 30 days. Like, no, that's not how life works. I can get to 10K a month in a week because I know how to do it. I'm the person that can do it. But I couldn't do that 2 years ago. I didn't have the knowledge to do it. I didn't have the personal self-improvement journey that I've had to be the person to do it,
Mm.
you know?
Okay. I have a question about giving up, and this can also translate into business, but also a lot of people like go to the gym for the first 3 months, then they give up. Go to a boxing gym, they give up. They get in a relationship and they give up.
Yep.
It may be anything, and I've gave up a lot of times at a lot of things in my life and got back to it, etc. The gym is the only thing since I was 15 years old that I never stopped doing, even for a month. Like the longest I went without the gym was like 2 weeks, and I'm glad about that. But other than that, I did YouTube for some time, then I gave up for like a month, then I got back into it, etc. And then I have periods when posting daily videos is so easy, like I could post 3 videos a day. But then I have days when I really have to use that discipline and really fucking do it like out of like work. So why do
Mhm.
you think like people usually give up and they don't get back into it?
So the easiest answer is lack of discipline, right? That's the easy
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
The nuance of it is people are not turning these pursuits into lifestyles. They're
Mm,
not turning anything into a lifestyle. I've turned the gym into a lifestyle. Now I'm doing kickboxing. I'm turning kickboxing into a lifestyle, right?
yes.
And what does lifestyle mean? That means how you eat, how do you socialize in that area, right? It's the same with business. People are doing all of these different business models. They have no community around them. They don't they don't even like have a certain type of routine that they like to do within that business model. So if it's trading, maybe you wake up and you go to the gym, you come back, you take a shower, you may take a cold shower, whatever it is, and then you hop on your computer. Maybe you're outside in your yard or something, and you're just on your laptop and you're trading. Most people, they don't turn what they're doing into a lifestyle that they enjoy, which is why they hate it after 2 weeks.
Mm,
Like, it's the gym, right? Like,
yeah.
we'll get into, I mean, some people don't like this, but there's a lot of people who like to buy gym clothes, like the nice looking gym clothes.
Yeah.
I recommend people to do that because it turns it into a lifestyle.
Mm,
Because now you're excited because you bought these new gym clothes. You want to go work out, or you bought this new protein drink that you really, really like. It tastes really good, and you now want to keep working out because you've turned it into a lifestyle. You know?
mm. I think a lot of it is also stress tolerance, if I'm being honest, because I think that the higher you climb, and I think that the higher you climb, the more things are gonna fuck up, the more
Yes.
stuff is gonna go wrong, and the more risk you're gonna have, etc. And I think
Mhm.
everybody like has that point when they just want to give up, but they realize that if I give up, I will give up on everything I've ever dreamt of. How would you like? Did you have a low point where you really wanted to give up, and then you realize like you can't give up?
Yeah. I've had that many times where I'm just like,
Hmm.
why am I doing this? There's no point.
Yeah.
With every business I've ever, even including this one, there's times where I'm
Mm.
like, man, I really don't even want to do this anymore. Maybe people don't find it valuable. Maybe I'm just doing all this for no reason. Like, for me, when I go through that, I always think about, why I'm doing it. You have to have a why. I know
Mhm.
people talk about it a lot, but it's true. There has to be a reason why you're doing it. It's the same with going to the gym. I don't care if it's to get women. A lot of people are like, oh, that's the wrong reason to go to the gym. No, if that's something that gets you in the gym, do it. Right. I
Mm.
talk about that a lot. I talk about, hey, you can attract beautiful women if you go to the gym. Why do I say that? Not because it's the absolute truth, but because it's going to get a lot of guys who are very interested in women to be
Yeah.
interested in the gym. Right. It's the same with business. If you want to start a business and make money to get your dream car, maybe it's a McLaren, maybe it's a Lambo, whatever it is, then do that. Have that be the goal.
Mm.
Visualize it. See yourself driving the car. That's going to make you keep doing it. For me, it's family legacy. I want freedom. I want to be able to provide money to people that I love. I want to be able to have enough money to give to everybody that I love, my children, my wife, everybody, you know? So that's what makes me at those moments, I'm like, oh, I can't give up because I want that thing. So I have to do it.
So I was in this community. If you know who Hamza is, Hamza Ahmed.
Yes.
I was in this
Adonis.
community, Adonis School, for a few months, and
Mm-hmm.
we had this coaching calls, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy that came up. He was speaking with Leon Pasho, and he said like he had his first 10K a month.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the thing that triggered it was 6 months ago when he was having a job where he was making about $1,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and he was living with his mom. He's
Mm-hmm.
he gave up all his, like, how should I say it? He rented a Hellcat, a Dodge Charger Hellcat, for
Mm-hmm.
$950 for a day.
Mm-hmm.
All his
Mm-hmm.
salary for that month. And he had an argument with his mom about it, etc. But he said that was what propelled him to 6 months later to make 10K a month, because that's a $90,000 car. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
if I worked my job, it would take me like 10 years to save up that money with the way I'm spending. He said, like, I gotta make more money. So 6 months later, he started making 10K a month, and now he's probably making enough money to buy that car. But I
100%.
was like, okay, that he had that dream of that car. He liked it, but he never drove it. When he rented that car and drove it, that's when he decided. That's probably his pivotal point when he decided, I need to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of guys need just that taste of that life, like going on a really expensive lunch with a rich guy, like $500 for a steak in Prague, for example. If you just get that taste, you can't go back anymore. You know?
You won't sleep. You
Yeah,
won't sleep after that.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's a big trigger for a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's speak about Romania, because I'm a born Romanian and I was born in Oradea. So,
Wow.
yeah, I was born there. I lived there till I was like 5 years old. Then my family moved here to Czech Republic. So yeah, I haven't been there in a while, like 3 years, but I still got family there. But how is Oradea for you? How do you like it?
It's amazing, man. It's one of the best moves I've ever made. A lot of people don't know about it right now, which is great. I want to keep it like that. I don't want too many Americans to know, because the prices are going to start increasing a lot. So everything relative to America is extremely cheap. I know I acknowledge people in the country and people who work here, it's expensive for them, right?
Yeah.
But as somebody who is able to make money online,
Yes.
the money that I get is 5 times more useful here than it is in the US, So I've enjoyed it a lot. The people here are extremely nice. They cater a lot to you. There's a lot of people. I remember when I said I was moving to Romania, they're like, Romania is very racist. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, my girlfriend's from Romania. I know her family. I've known people that, like, everyone's very nice. You can't be an asshole. You can't be somebody who comes off weird. Then people are gonna treat you the way that you need to be treated. But you're very, very nice. You dress well. You present yourself very well. People are gonna like you. People are going to want to help you. Right? I've had many people want to help me in different things. So
Mm.
it's been it's been a good experience so far.
Where did you live before that? You lived in the U.S.
Utah,
Utah. Oh shit, that's
yeah,
like in California, right?
it's like Mountain West. So yeah, like close to California.
Huh. So
Yeah,
is Oradea better than Utah?
by far. Yeah. It's better than any even so I'm gonna if anybody from the US is watching this and they're from Boston, everyone thinks Boston in the US has the best food.
Huh.
Here has better food than Boston by far.
You know, I see this common thing that Europeans want to move to the U.S. and Americans want to move to Europe.
Yeah.
I feel like as soon as you get used to the second part of the world, like, you just don't want to go back. And I feel like, man, I can't imagine myself living in the U.S. because of the people. But
Mhm.
also I'm growing tired of like Europe because US just seems so cooler. But then again, and I speak to an American and they say like US is so shit and I need to stay in Europe. I'm like, man, I don't know. Like,
So I'll explain why, right?
mm,
Because I've known many people who have come to the US to work in Europe from Europe, right? The reason why I believe most people will leave here is because the jobs here just don't make enough money for them to enjoy their lives,
mm,
right?
yeah,
Just that's just what it is. So they think, oh, if I go to the US, I'm gonna make more money, which is true, but it's more expensive there.
mm,
So your quality of life is going to be maybe a little like worse unless you get very lucky, right? If you get very lucky and you get a really good job there and it works, great. But that's 1% of the people who go there. Most people who go there, they're stuck doing, like jobs that aren't paying that much, like very low salary jobs because one, maybe they don't have the paperwork to be able to do it, like they don't have the work permit, they don't have any of that. So coming here it probably hurts for them because they're like, well, I've lived here all my life and I didn't make any money. Like I barely made money to survive. I worked 60 hours a week and I was only making, compared to the US, it's like $700 a month, right? But I understand that. But then it's like think outside the box. Most people who enjoy like Europe or Thailand or Singapore, all of these different places, not Singapore, Singapore is just expensive, but anywhere else is because they have a source of income that allows for them to make money from a very like rich place like the US, and they can bring the money back
mm,
to the country that they're in, and that money then affords them a lot more. I'm like my money now stretches way longer here,
mm,
way longer. You know what I mean?
yeah. I have a question. Why did you pick Romania? Because I know that a lot of people now are gonna say like you've been influenced by Andrew Tate, but I'm sure you have your own reason.
I have a
Because
good reason.
he has made that country like pretty famous, but I'm pretty sure like compared to other European countries, you must have had a reason to pick Romania in particular.
Yeah. Mostly my girlfriend. Actually,
Oh.
all of it. So she ended up coming back here.
Mm,
That's another story for another pockets
mm.
of all. So, but because of that, I was also looking to leave. I wanted to actually move to Thailand. That's where I wanted to go
Mm,
before we started dating, and I just didn't do it. And then when she ended up coming here, I was just like, "Well, how is it there?" And she was like, it's not because she had the same
mm,
mindset as everybody else. Like I want to be in the U.S. because I make more, but then she comes here and it's a big difference, right? Like there's a lot more that can be done, and I'm learning like what are the prices here? Like how are the houses? All the houses are made of bricks. Everyone has yards. Like everything's different, and so I just decided to move. And people who say, "Oh, you're moving because of Andrew Tate lives in Bucharest. That's 10 hours
yeah.
away from me. If I wanted to follow him, I would live in Bucharest,
Mm,
like right now.
yeah.
And I don't follow other men. I don't. I think that's weird. I'm not gonna go live somewhere because another man lives there, and
Oh,
no, that's
yeah. And there's a big difference between Bucharest and Oradea, bro. Like
hurt.
it's very big. Like I know last time I've been in Oradea was 2 years ago, but I must say like it's like it seems like a different country to be honest because
Yes.
the type of people that are such rich people like you're gonna see like seeing a Lambo in Bucharest is not really like something special because you're gonna
Mhm.
see it in the center of the city. You're gonna see it pretty often. But in Oradea, still it's pretty like you don't see it every day. At least the last time I've been there.
Man, I see it every day.
Really?
I see S classes everywhere. I've seen
Mm,
Bentleys everywhere. I've seen all of these. I see. I don't see the flashy cars here.
mm,
That's the difference. I think in Bucharest there might be more flashier cars because it's more flashier people.
mm,
Here it's like it's different. There's it's a lot of like sleek like Mercedes like high level
mm,
Mercedes
yeah.
like backs. I've seen the cars like they look amazing, but they're not super loud. They're not like
Mm.
a pink Lambo driving down the road.
Yeah. So you think that Oradea is still a good place for networking?
I don't know yet. Um,
Mm.
I haven't really done any yet. Also because here, like English isn't really popular,
Mm,
So I'm learning the language and everything, and hopefully that helps. But I think getting into different things, like I'm doing this kickboxing thing, and the gym that I'm at, like literally a champion trains there. So
mm,
I know I'm in a good place there, like one of the best trainers there. And so that can probably open it up to me meeting more people, right?
mm,
Uh, but yeah, networking, I don't know yet. I know in Bucharest, you networking is way better for sure
mm,
because there's more English speaking people, right? There are more online entrepreneurs in Bucharest, right? Here, I don't know. Nobody's ever
okay.
talked about
Like, have you been traveling? Like, what's the best place you've been in, even in the US or wherever?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. What's so
Yeah,
good about that?
Switzerland is just super, super clean. It's super like honestly, everyone there is rich though.
Mm,
So but the food is really, really good. And I just really like Switzerland a lot. It's next to a
mm,
lot of things. That's why I like here too. Like the other reason why I wanted to move here is because it's close to Italy. It's driving distance from Italy. It's driving
mm,
distance from Germany. Driving distance from Vienna. Like there's so many other places to go. So it just makes sense.
mm. Okay. Let's talk fitness. Like, a lot of people say that there's a correlation like between health and wealth. Like, a lot of fit people are also gonna be rich. There's not a coincidence that a lot of the rich people nowadays are also fit. Like, do you think
Mhm.
like there's any correlation between that?
Yes, if you're aware of it.
Mm,
So there's a lot of people that are like, well, that person is super jacked and he's poor. Like he has no money. He's just like this gym cell that like he doesn't even know how to make money. Yes, because he doesn't understand or he's not aware that all of the skills that he's learning in the gym, he can use it in business and dominate everybody. Like I
mm,
look at gym cells and people who are obsessed with the gym and the gym only, like they're just sleeping giants. Like they have
mm,
no idea how well they can do in another avenue of pursuit because they're so fixated on the one they've over indexed hard on the fitness side. I've been like that where like all I cared about was the gym when I first started. That's all I did. And then when I shifted over to business, all of my experiences in fitness and even in athletics too, right? I think like even boxers and people who compete, once they switch over to business and they can
mm,
actually take all of those intangible skills there, they're gonna dominate anybody
mm.
because their mindset's just bulletproof. You can't stop them. You know?
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Yeah. How did you get jacked? Because I want to ask that, man. You look absolutely enormous, bro. But you also have a fucking six pack, and you're
Yeah,
huge. Like, what the fuck?
yeah.
How long have you been training for?
10 years. Probably gonna be 11 years now. Honestly, and people are gonna. It's genetics. Like my genetics are really, really good, right? But even I know people with my genetics. I have family members that are fat. So I
Mm,
know it's not just genetics, right?
mm,
So for me, it was just I turned it into a lifestyle. I promise you. From the minute I started, I was training all the time. I was recording myself training. I made it fun, right? I was
mm,
documenting the process. I was got into like protein shakes, like, oh, this is the best flavor. I want to try this. Like I'd figure out macros and like all of that. And I learned how to do that. I got into bodybuilding. Like I've been competing a lot, right? I've been physically active. So to answer your question, why do I still have a six pack? Because I still eat at a caloric deficit.
mm.
I
I
eat
mean, yeah,
mostly.
it's a simple answer. I don't know what was I expecting.
I train almost every day. I take maybe one day off.
Mm,
So it's just I've been very consistent. I haven't had longer than a week off. And the only reason why I had a week off was because I was at a wedding,
mm.
So like
That opens my mind to another question. Like, why do you think guys do not see results? And they've been going to the gym for like 5 months, but they still.
because they don't have the guidance, they don't have the knowledge, and they're trying to do everything on their own. It's the same as somebody who tries to get into a specific business model and doesn't see results for two
Yeah.
years. Like you haven't talked to someone who's gotten the results. So if you keep doing the same things over and over again, you're gonna get the same results.
Hmm.
So for me, even like I hit a plateau, I want to say 3 years ago, and I was like, man, like I cannot grow anymore. I can't build any more muscle. Like, I'm actually starting to get skinnier. What am I doing wrong? And I had to get a bodybuilding coach to teach me nutrition because I didn't know anything about nutrition as much. I knew enough, but to get to the level I wanted to get to, I had to understand deload weeks. I never took a deload week. I was always training with high intensity every single day, and I wondered why my muscles never recovered.
Mm.
Right. So taking an intentional day off, I learned that. I learned being in a deficit while also still maintaining your protein macros to make sure that when you're in a deficit, you don't lose muscle. Like I didn't know that before. I just thought, oh, let me just be in a deficit. So I was in a deficit for 6 years, 6 to 7 years,
What the fuck? 6 years?
1,500 calories a day.
6 years.
6 years. I tried to be a vegan. I tried that. Horrible, terrible. I never ever again, and I don't recommend any male. If you're a female, yeah, go ahead, be a vegan. It's very estrogenic. As a male, if you need testosterone, you should be eating meat, right? So I did that. I did plant-based food. I was eating a bunch of
Mm.
bullshit, seed oils and everything, like canola. I just didn't know.
Mm.
So when I got the coach and the coach taught me everything I needed, like different things, like if I have a sweet tooth, I can take grapefruit, I can put stevia on it, stevia sweetener, and I can put it in an air fryer for like 2 minutes. And
Mm.
then it can come out and it tastes like candy. Like these are things that I learned that helped me then go to the next level. And then I competed for my bodybuilding competition.
Mm. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Where was that bodybuilding competition?
Where?
Yeah, and when?
It was in Utah. It was NPC Utah Classic. It was in 2022, I believe November 2022. I got second overall out of 160 guys. All of them took steroids, by the way. I didn't. I've never touched a steroid in my life. I haven't even touched peptides. I've thought about it recently, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to do it
Oh yeah.
because it's. I think peptides are okay, but I like not taking anything and not having to take anything, even
Yeah.
orally. I don't. But yeah, I competed with 160 guys. I got first in every single one of my classes. So I was in three classes. I literally have the medals here, like this, like
Holy shit.
in all of my classes. I have two other medals as well. And then second overall, I lost by 1 point because I didn't know how to pose for my back.
Mm.
I did a 6 week prep.
Man, but the second out of 160 guys, that's fucking crazy. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, first ever show, never competed before, never prepped before, nothing. And then
Holy
I got
shit, bro.
by nationals, and then I just ended up not doing it.
Hell yeah. So, do you like take any supplements like creatine? I stopped taking creatine, and the funny thing is, I think I look better since I stopped taking creatine like a year ago, and I went on a cut obviously, but I
Mhm.
honestly, since I stopped taking creatine, I'm never going back to that because I feel like bloated and I just cutting on creatine is so fucking hard that I decided, you know what, and now I'm just maintaining my weight. But
Mhm.
I honestly don't see the reason for me taking creatine again. I was a power lifter back then, so I was trying to increase my weights on squats, deadlifts, and bench. But since I'm now trying like to just build a good body and do those powerlifting stuff just like not competitively, I just don't see it for me that reason, and I feel even better like without it.
Mhm.
But what do you
I
think?
Yeah, if I'm cutting, I don't take creatine.
Mm.
I'm not cutting any. I never really cut because I naturally lose weight easily. It's hard for me to gain weight. Like I can be skinny in 2 weeks if I wanted to. I could literally lose everything. But to get bigger, it just takes forever. So creatine's my best friend
Mm.
for now. But I cycle on and off of creatine. Like I didn't take creatine for 3 or 4 months before
Mm.
last week. So it depends. It depends on where in the cycle you are. If you're cutting, don't take creatine. Why would you want creatine? Why would you want to retain the water? Why would you want to look? I mean,
Yeah.
you look bloated because you're just not eating enough and your
Mm.
body's not burning everything and you're retaining a lot. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I would say what you're doing is right with creatine. I wouldn't take it if I'm
Mm. Yeah. You know, I wanted to ask you, like, you started. How long ago did you start boxing or kickboxing?
Last week. Last week. I
Last
took
week.
one MMA class before
Okay.
this, like, a year ago.
Mm.
And I loved it. But I was doing Muay Thai, and my shoulder, like when they clinch, I can't really clinch because this shoulder pops out a lot. It's very
Mm.
loose.
Yeah.
So I had to go into I told myself if I want to do any fighting, it'd have to be kickboxing or just regular boxing. And when I came here, it just made sense. I was like, okay.
Mm.
Um, during in the mornings, everyone else in the US is sleeping. So all of my clients are sleeping for the most part.
Mm.
Do all of these things now. And then later on I can do my work and everything. So I
Yeah.
started last week.
So how would you balance it like for the future? Like I think that as a fighter, obviously everybody says that fighters it's better to be skinny to not be like big, but also you want to look good. So like how would you balance it for anybody
I'm
that's
gonna
trying to
break the stereotype. I'll be honest. I don't believe in anything anybody tells me because I just feel like
uh,
everyone has their own experiences. They do things their own way, and then they make it general to everybody else. I'll be
mm,
honest. For me, like the way I look at it, if I am in the gym, why would I want to do functional training in a gym? The
mm,
gym is not a functional place. It's a place to build muscle. It's a place to
mm,
grow, right?
mm,
Fighting is functional. So I'm using the muscles that I'm building in the gym to fight. If you never fight, you're never going to be functional.
mm,
So imagine a bodybuilder that just trains all the time and they just build as much muscle as possible. They've never used it. So of
mm,
course they're gonna look crazy and like they can't move because they've never moved it before.
mm,
They have no mobility.
yeah.
But somebody who's bodybuilding 4 times a week at a gym, 5 times a week at a gym, that's what I do, and then training kickboxing twice a week, I'm gonna be able to transfer the strength that I'm getting in the gym,
Mm,
and I'll get way more flexibility with my hips because I'm using it. And
mm,
I won't be too big because I'm dropping so many calories. I have to eat more.
mm.
So combining that, I'll never look too big ever.
I wanted to ask you this question, and I know that I'm probably gonna sound like an idiot, but I'm 17
Mm-hmm.
and I started going to the gym at 15, and I started learning about online business like for the past ever since like January this year. I'm gonna be honest, and I've tried copywriting, and I made like 50, $100. Like I saw some results, but I got back into posting daily videos on YouTube and again trying to pursue this. But I feel like I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, and I know I'm gonna sound like an idiot because I'm 17. That
Never.
I feel like I'm late, which is I know it sounds bad, but I see like guys like Alex the Marshall who's 16 years old making 30K a month. I see guys that are 13 already in the gym. I see guys that are making 10K a month at 14, and I'm like, I'm almost an adult, and these guys are 14. They're not even in high school. These are gonna make my yearly salary like a month, and I'm like, I feel like I'm falling behind, or like I'm late, and I like, how do you deal with that feeling?
So, I mean, by the way, I'm 27. So if I
Mm,
see a 17-year-old making 100K a month, it's the same feeling, right? You're like, this 17-year-old is making a lot of money right now.
yeah.
I'm not there yet. What's going on? So I think you also have to understand why they're doing it, right? They know something that you don't. The
Mm,
only difference between you and a person who's making 100K a month is information.
mm,
That's it. That's the only thing that's the difference between you and that person. Information
mm,
and discipline are the two things. You
mm,
probably have the discipline taken care of, but you don't have the information. And a lot of these kids have mastered marketing. They understand how to use social media. They understand how to get attention. They understand where to post, what to post to be able to drive leads, right? That's where I think, and I've seen all of these kids, they I call them dorks because all they do is they focus so much on the business and hey, I can help you add 10K per month in MRR by this method.
mm,
I can do ghostwriting, and they talk. That's all they talk about. When in reality, everybody wants to hear who you are. That's why
mm,
people buy. I barely talk about like the technical sides of YouTube and how to build. I talk about life. I talk about women. I talk about fitness. I talk about everything else. And I attract a lot of people. And those people are now interested in what I have to sell because they know me. So for you, the big thing is keep doing what you're doing. The podcasting with people. I'll probably post something like this on my page. Like you'll get more exposure as you do this. People will see what you're doing and they'll want to buy what you have to offer. If it's copywriting, I could literally sell a book on cats and people would buy it because I know out of the 32, I think 32,000 people that I have on YouTube, combined with the 24,000 people I have on Instagram, there's at least 1,000 people that like cats.
Yeah. Holy shit.
And it's the same. If I wanted to get into copywriting, there's probably at least 1,000 people that need copywriting for their business, at least.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the biggest thing is you have to build the audience. Everyone wants to start a business and never build an audience. How are you going to get clients?
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, there's like a lot of guys like keep saying like outreach, 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 and I've done that for a while. And I've made like a little bit of money, like with that, but it's like there's like a certain limit to that because you're gonna work like an immigrant, sending 300 messages a day, and you're still gonna have a limit to how many people can you really send messages to, and bothering people,
You always want to start organic because organic is the best because what you have to understand, it's all psychology. People hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. Right? So you like going to the mall, you like going to these places where you can see things that you may want, but you don't like the person who's randomly coming up to you and saying, buy this, buy this, buy this. Hey, try this. You might really like this. You may like it, but you don't like it anymore because the person just tried to sell it to you. You feel like your money, but the person who catches your attention with a store display or something like that, you're more willing to go into that store, browse around, and probably buy something. So I look at it the same because I literally had a lead gen business, so I know what outreach looks like. If you want to go the outreach way, you either have to have a lot of time or you have to have a lot of technical expertise and money to hire VAs to do everything for you. That works to a certain extent. You're also going to get a lot of people who don't want your services because it was cold outreach. They don't know who you are.
Yes.
But when you start posting content, that's another thing. You don't need to go viral. If you have 100 views, even 50 views on a video, think about that. In a room, imagine 50 people.
Yes,
that's a lot of people. You need one person to book a call with you.
Yeah, that does make sense. I want to ask you about. I'm pretty sure everybody has a day when they just don't feel like doing something at all. Like you just can't be bothered. You're like, man, I have 5 tasks for a day, but there's this one task that I really don't want to do, and you postpone it. And like, I don't have that problem anymore these days, but it's like because I try to get the worst thing out of that day immediately, like as soon as possible. I try to get the hardest task done in the morning, and then my day is like, it's like a relief. Like, oh, okay, the rest of the day is gonna be easier. But how do you deal with those days when you're just, oh man, I wake up with a headache. I just really don't want to do anything, but you still gotta do it. Like, how do you deal with that?
You have to think about when you're doing it. The goal is to always fire yourself. That's what I've learned. The goal is to fire yourself in business. So when it comes to you not wanting to do a task, that's because you hate it and it's stupid and it means nothing. Like you don't care about it. That's a sign that you need to actually do it. It sounds counterintuitive, so that you can get the result, so that you can make more money to hire. Like your goal when you don't like something, your motivation should be, fuck, I need to do this as much as I need to and make as much money as I can so I can hire someone to do this shit that I don't like.
Okay.
Because you're a slave to business. You don't want to be.
Yeah. Also, the thing that I found like interesting, or the thing that always made me do it, like for example, when I started going to the gym and I had this gym bro, he would always call me at 8 a.m. because I had to be there at 9. He was always like call me, and like oftentimes I was I was still sleeping, and he woke me up, and I was like trying to make an excuse, but he wouldn't take my bullshit. I was like 15, but he wouldn't take my bullshit, whatever. And whatever I tried to tell him, he was like, no, you have to go to the gym. I don't care how you feel. It was like that in the starting days, that was so important for me. And even though I don't speak to him anymore, I still like, I imagine like, okay, what if that was like someone that I admire? So let's say, or someone that I respect. Like if Tristan Tate was calling me and to go to the gym, I would go no matter if my leg was broken. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, just imagine God or imagine your father looking at you being lazy. I just like accountability partners in real life are important, but also it's important for me to imagine someone that I respect like seeing me.
True.
That's how
And
I.
I think accountability. So the reason why it may not have been as important with a friend that keeps you accountable is because you may not respect them at a high level.
Yeah.
You see them like this.
Hmm.
So, and even friends who are like this, if they're really good at something else and you admire them for that, if they push you, you're going to do it. You're not
Yes.
going to be like, oh, make excuses. No. Right. So, my thing is I just like to surround myself with people that I admire. If I
Hmm.
admire the person, they can hold me accountable. I will succeed. You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to ask you about a lot of people talk about rewarding yourself every now and then. How do you think is a good way to reward yourself without like falling into hedonism? Because a lot of guys like let's say they reach their first 10K a month and they like spend 3,000 in the club, or a lot of guys like win a bodybuilding competition and then for a week straight they eat junk food. Like I feel like that's a bad way to reward yourself. How would you reward yourself?
That's a really good question. Um, I think you should be able to indulge in those things when you've done something right, right? But you also look at it as a reward. Don't look at it as, okay, I'm done now. I can go back to my old. Because here's the reality why those guys do that. Because they've never actually shifted their whole identity into being the person that
Oh.
did the thing. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? So because they didn't shift their identity to the guy who made 10K a month, the way that life works, it will always bring you back down to your average, to your normal.
Mhm.
Always. If you don't increase your average and your normal, which means shifting your identity, which now it's a little bit more like scientific or spiritual, but like everything is frequency. Everyone has some level of baseline frequency. To get to 10K a month, if you're at 1K a month, your frequency needs to rise up to the frequency of somebody who's at 10K a month, which feels and looks completely different day to day.
Mhm.
If you've never done that, but somehow you got to 10K a month and you weren't aware of the person that you needed to be to get to 10K a month, you will self-sabotage yourself to get right back down to 1K a month.
Mm. Holy
Always. That's
shit.
what I always see. It's the same, like look at like people who gamble or people who win the lottery. They
Mm.
always self-sabotage right back
Yeah.
down to their normal state, their normal frequency, because they've never turned into the person because they didn't allow themselves to turn into the person. That's why I hate picking easy business models
Mhm.
because it doesn't force me to grow. It doesn't
Mhm.
force me to become the person that actually deserves the money that I've made. It's the
Mhm.
same with these guys who do like easy business models like drop shipping, but there's no like intricacy of private labeling or building a real brand. They just sell like products from China. Yeah, they can have a really good month where they make 50K.
Mhm.
They're going to lose it all because
Yes.
it took what? It's the same with guys who do crypto.
Mm.
Yeah, you may have a really lucky trade and now you're a millionaire,
Mm.
but you're the same person who's broke. So you're always going to go back down.
Yeah. Holy shit. You know, I don't know if this is gonna be relevant, but like when I was like going to the gym for a year and a half or the second year, this
Mhm.
year I went to a boxing gym for the first time in my life, and I got my ass whooped because I was a dumbass because I thought like, okay, you know what? I've got some good shoulder muscles. I think I'm pretty strong. I think I can like be a good boxer. I just approached the guy that was looked like the same size as me, but just less muscle. He seemed like skinnier, but he was the same height and about the same weight. He was maybe a like 5 pounds lighter than me. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go easy on this guy. I thought like I was the dangerous one. Like, okay, I asked him if he wanted to spar. He was like, yeah, sure. I told him like I don't want no headgear. Like let's just do it for with no headgear. The first round, like the first 30 seconds, he whipped my ass. Like I had a bloody nose, bro. I was done and I was exhausted. And I was like I can't even last half a minute with a
Mm-hmm.
guy in a ring without gassing out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I thought I was a healthy, fit young man, but like this dude who was like also like the same age as me and the same size as me, he was whooping my ass, and he looks less dangerous, but he's
Mm-hmm.
10 times more dangerous than me. And that was
Mm-hmm.
like a very humbling moment when I realized, okay, I am not who I thought I was. I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of guys that go to the gym for like 5 years and they are massive, but they've never done any martial arts. I feel like, yo, like that was a wake up call for me in a humbling moment, and I'm like, yeah, I had this identity of this tough guy, and I got humbled, and that changed it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's why I did it. It's a new challenge for me. I have to use muscles I've never used before. Um, yeah, it's different. Bodybuilding is easy for me. Could I go and try
Yeah,
to become a pro bodybuilder and compete in Mr. Olympia? I actually could do that,
yeah.
but it's too in my mind. And I know this sounds very like bragging or whatever, but like it's too easy. That's too easy of a challenge for me. Like not eating certain foods and like being
Mm,
restrictive on my diet. That's easy for me.
mm,
That's actually like most of bodybuilding is the food part, right?
mm,
Um, I don't also want to take steroids. So I don't want to do that. With fighting, it's very mental. Bodybuilding is mental, but fighting is a different type of mental, you
mm,
know? And I'm using my body a different way that I've never used before.
mm,
And I'm also getting punched in the face, which is great.
mm.
So, yeah.
You know what I see? I see like the gym is like both the gym and the boxing is pain, but in the gym you have control over how much you pain you want to endure. But in a ring with a guy, even if you're wearing headgear, it still hurts like hell, and you
Mhm.
have no control. The dude, he's beating you. If he's better than you, yeah, you have no control over that, and you have to defend yourself. And it's like it puts you like I think it puts you in a way more masculine mind frame when you don't have control over thing any over the fight, and you have to take control, you have to take
Mhm.
charge. I feel like
Mhm.
that's more masculine than the gym, but obviously I recommend guys do both,
Yeah. Always do both.
yeah.
Always.
And I feel like after I started going to the boxing gym, I was pushing myself way harder in the normal gym than with the
Yeah.
weights, because I had bigger pain tolerance.
Yes.
That
100.
was it for me. I have a question. Like, who do you think is like a good? I don't know if I should call it a role model, but someone that young guys should listen to that have a lot to learn from. Who do you think that would be? Like, let's say 2 or 3 people.
Hmm. If they have a father, it's their father.
Yes,
They have
absolutely agree with that.
one. Um, this is gonna be kind of, I don't want to say controversial because it's true. I think Jesus is another big one.
Mm-hmm.
Read the red letters in the Bible. That's what I say.
Yes.
I don't call myself this like devout Christian or whatever, but I do believe in God. I believe Jesus. I believe all of that. Like when I read the red letters of Jesus, that was the most masculine figure of all time ever.
Mm.
So that's two. The third in this day and age, I would say Andrew Tate, but at the same time, I think people will misconstrue his past a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
they'll focus too much on his past. So I never like to see him because people just don't. I think people just mentally are remedial. They're like retarded, so they can't really like understand like the good side of things. They always look at the bad stuff. Um, a person that I would say that doesn't have a crazy past like that. That's hard.
Mm.
I don't know. A person nowadays that I think men should aspire to look up to.
Mm.
I think besides those two, I don't think men should aspire to look up to anybody. I think you can take pieces of wisdom from people, but I don't think any man should look up to anybody on social media, including myself. Don't do it.
Mm,
Like
okay.
take information that you want, because the reality is you're not going to agree with everything that I say. The same
Yes.
way I'm not going to agree with um, Andrew Tate. I'm not going to agree with who's another big figure that people know of right now. Name somebody.
Like Hamza is a big something
I'm
people
not
know.
going to agree with Hamza, right? Everything that Hamza says. I'm not going to agree with everything anybody says, because if I did agree with what that person said, that I'd be that person.
Yes.
Everyone has different thoughts, different perspectives of
You
life.
wouldn't have an identity of your own.
No, and that's why people who believe those people 100% and they follow them 100%, they literally have no identity. Their identity is that person.
You know, I've fallen for this. I'm not gonna lie. When I was 15 and even 16,
Mhm,
I had these two people. It was Andrew Tate and Hamza, and
mhm,
the Tate brothers. I'm gonna say because I've learned a lot from Tristan as well. I fell for these guys. Like I still listen to them, but always try to like stop the video and think about it myself. You
mhm.
know. But I was like, I think the reason why I listened to everything these two guys said because I saw my life improve so much after I listened to them, and I haven't experienced that with any other creator in my life. I was like, when I started going to the gym and started like applying Andrew Tate's dating advice, yo, I firstly for the first time I lost my virginity thanks to Andrew Tate. So like that was
Wow.
like for a big thing for me at the time. And the second thing, I stopped playing video games. I got rid of my video game addiction thanks to Hamza, because
Mhm,
Hamza was a video game addict too. So he
mhm.
knew how to help me. So I was like, okay, I stopped playing video game and I got in good shape and I started being better with women thanks to Hamza and Andrew. I was like, that like created an emotional attachment to these guys in my mind, which is very feminine, but I know. But I created such and I found myself every time someone spoke bad about them, I wasn't thinking rationally like a man.
Yeah,
Like,
of
okay,
course.
is this actually true? I was like, wait a second, this guy's saying something bad about Andrew Tate or Hamza. I was like, no, fucking dickhead. I need to disagree with them. And I was like, and right now I'm finally seeing like, okay, you know what? Like Hamza or Andrew is just simply wrong about this thing. This is my opinion, and I just don't disagree with them on this thing. But then again, at the time when I was 15 and 16, I could not accept that they were wrong about something because I saw them as, I don't know, superhuman. Like they can never be wrong. And that was like something I regret so much. But I think that the reason why guys get into this, like listening to everybody, everything a person says, is because they create this emotional attachment to them because
Yes.
they've improved their life so much. And I'm like, it's good, but it's also bad because you start listening even to the bad stuff that they say because no person is gonna be 100% correct on all of the time. You're not Jesus. You don't know everything. So yeah, I think that's the reason.
Yeah. I think people just need to start listening, but just listening. Like don't
Yeah.
be the person, like
Yeah.
get stuck watching all of these figures, and they, like you said, they have negative, like here's the reality. You're probably gonna learn this
Mm,
now or later on in life.
mm,
The most feminine thing a man can ever do is take another man's life philosophy that he
mm,
has and destroy it or think it's horrible because of the bad things that they've done or things that they
yeah.
disagree. Right? If
Yes.
it's good, then it's good, regardless of whether it came from Satan himself. If Satan himself said something that was objectively the right thing, you could hate Satan but still appreciate the right thing that was said.
Mm,
Right? That's a very crazy way to look at it.
yes.
But it's the same with like a Hamza. Hamza could be a complete asshole in real life and the worst person in the world. But there are some things that he says I fully agree with no matter what.
Mm,
And again, I have no issues with any of them. But the reality is most people they want to just take everybody at face value, and if they do something
yeah.
wrong they cancel them and everything they say is wrong. Andrew Tate, he has all these charges, who knows whether they're true or not. I don't really care, because if I listen to what he's saying and it makes sense, then it makes sense. I agree with
Yes.
it. I don't, you know what I mean? Like if he did something wrong, he did something wrong. That's for the law to deal with. That's not for me to
Mm,
cancel him out completely in my mind because of a thing that he did,
mm.
you know?
One last thing I want to say about this is because I think that seeing real life results from listening to somebody on the internet is so powerful that that's the reason they have this emotional attachment to them. But I think that
For sure.
the way you should look at it is, I was giving too much credit to these guys. Like, okay, I got my first girlfriend thanks to Andrew Tate, not thanks to me. And I'm like, okay, I need to shift my mindset. Okay, I learned this thing from Andrew, but I was the one to apply it. And so I need to
Implement.
also give credit to myself, because if I give 100% credit to Andrew, I'm gonna build that emotional attachment, and I'm gonna listen to everything this person says. And if anybody says something bad about them, I'm gonna disregard them, not think about it logically. So yeah,
Mhm.
giving credit to yourself as much as giving credit to the person that you learned that thing from. I think that's pretty important.
For sure. 100%.
Anyhow, I want to get into rapid fire questions before we wrap up. So
Yeah,
I got
do it.
yeah. So the first question is: happiness the purpose of life?
No,
What's the purpose of life?
purpose.
Okay, okay. Do you have haters?
Yes.
What do they say?
They say that I take steroids. They say that um I what else do they say? I lie about what I'm saying, or like I don't live what I actually say that I live, which I
Mm,
do. I even say that I live an extravagant life ever in anything that I've ever said.
mm,
Um, they say that what I say is stupid or whatever.
mm.
Basics.
Okay. What is the quickest way to ruin your life?
The quickest way to ruin your life is forgetting what you came here to do.
Hmm. Forgetting what you came here to do. Holy shit! I'm gonna listen to this later on. Yo, what's the biggest lie you've ever heard?
Biggest lie. The biggest lie is that, wow, that's a great question. I know this is rapid fire, but that's a hard one. Biggest lie. I would say that you were born to the destiny that you have
Hmm. Born to the destiny that you have. Why is that a lie?
because you can create your destiny.
Oh
God
shit.
free will, like you
Yeah.
can create as a man, it's like alchemy. You're an alchemist. You can create your own
Hmm.
reality, you know,
Okay.
whether
What's
good or
the
bad.
what's the best advice you've been given?
The best advice I've ever been given, or the best advice that I've given?
You have been given by somebody.
The best advice that I've been given has been to follow my instincts.
Mm. Okay. What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
I think people are gonna hate this one. Uh, that that no matter what, I'll always be valuable to people in life.
Yeah, that's such a lie. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Do you have a favorite quote by someone?
Yes, I think it was Socrates. Don't quote me on this, but
Mm.
it is a shame for a man to grow to the old age without seeing the beauty and potential of his body. I think I kind of
Oh
messed.
shit. I think I've heard something similar to that. Perhaps
Yeah.
that's it. Is reading a waste of time?
No, absolutely not. So the reality, I want to get into this because it's important.
Uh-huh.
I think reading for the sake of reading can be a waste of time, but you have to think about what a book is.
Mm.
Somebody who, even if you're reading a book from 100 years ago, you're literally downloading decades of information, like
Mm.
decades of information into your brain in one book.
Mm. Last question. What makes a good husband and a good father?
What makes a good husband is somebody who can protect and provide, who can also love their wife, love their children, what makes for a good wife is someone who can nurture the family, someone who can provide comfort, as well as be the almost like the backbone of
Mm-hmm.
husband and even the children and the household.
Mm. Okay, okay. Well, that's all I've got for today. What's
Okay.
next for Martel Metellus?
What's next is I want to go on a podcasting spree. So this is a
Mm,
great beginning, kind of slight beginning to it. I want to have my own podcast. We'll be
mm,
traveling throughout Europe, meeting different
mm,
people, um, and just continuously putting out content, man. That's what I care about.
mm. Where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, just my first and last name, Martel Metellus. And they can find me on Instagram at Martel. They can find me on
Mm,
Twitter at Martel Metellus, first and last name.
mm.
And even TikTok if they really want to, at Martel. So
Okay, okay. It was really nice speaking to you. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little bit nervous about this because I was listening to you for the past like 4 months, and I've really learned a lot from you. So
thank
it
you.
was like it was like this seems a little surreal speaking to this guy that has given
Wow.
such good advice.
It
And
was,
yo, it was really nice speaking to you, man. Thanks for taking the time for me, man.
of course, man. Anytime. Anytime. I
Okay,
appreciate
okay, guys. This was End, and hope to see you next time. Have a nice day, guys.